Hi everyone, let's take a look at problem 10-6a, which deals with a lease, a sublease, some acquisition issues, and depletion as well. Let's first work on part 1. On July 1st of 2000, Sweetman Company signed a contract to lease space in a building for 15 years. The lease contract calls for an annual prepaid rental payment of $70,000 on each July 1st throughout the life of the lease, and for the lessee to pay for all additions and improvements to the leased property. On June 25, 2005, Sweetman decides to sublease the space to Kirk & Associates for the remaining 10 years of the lease. Kirk pays $185,000 to Sweetman for the right to sublease, and it agrees to assume the obligation to pay the $70,000 annual rent to the building owner beginning July 1, 2005. After taking possession of the lease space, Kirk pays for improving the office portion of the lease space at a cost of $129,840. Now, the improvements are paid for on July 5th of 2005, and they're estimated to have a useful life equal to 16 years remaining in the life of the building. Okay, that's the problem. Let's tackle the first part, which is to prepare the entries for Kirk to record its payment to Sweetman for the rights to sublease the building space, and then we'll record the payments for the 2005 annual rent to the building owner and its payments for the office improvements. We'll prepare Kirk's year-end adjusting entries at December 31st, and then we'll amortize the $185,000 cost of the sublease. We'll then amortize the office improvements, and finally we'll record the rent expense. Okay, let's tackle the first entry, where Kirk pays the $185,000 to Sweetman for the right to sublease, and agrees to assume the obligations to pay $70,000 annual rent. I'll flip over to another page where I've staged the problem a bit. So on 6/25/2005, we need to record an asset, and we'll call that asset a leasehold, and it's $185,000. We're going to have a credit, and we pay for that in cash. And then, to follow proper form, let's record the entry. Let's record the reason for the entry, to record the payment for the sublease. Okay, now let's record the prepaid annual lease rental. That's the $70,000 payment right there to the building owner. So on July 1st of 2005, we're going to record a debit to prepaid rent for that $70,000. It's prepaid because it hasn't been used up yet. We'll take a credit to cash in the same amount. And we'll list that as credit to cash to record the prepaid annual lease rental. Alright, then on July 5th, let's record the Leasehold Improvement. Let's look back at the problem. The Leasehold Improvement was made for $129,840. Let's record that. And again, the credit would go to cash. And to follow proper form, we'll document what this transaction was for. Okay, now on 12/31 of the year, let's record the Leasehold Amortization. So that would simply be a debit to rent expense and a credit to accumulated amortization on the leasehold. Okay, so how do we calculate that dollar amount? Okay, here's how we record it. We take the cost, which is given in that cell right there, cell D5, and we know that that's divided by 10 years. Let me do it this way. I'll put it parentheses. So right there is the total amount of the annual amount of the leasehold amortization, and then let's multiply it times half a year, and I'm going to do that the long way by using 6 divided by 12 months. Okay? And that's the amount of rent expense we need to record on the leasehold. And to follow proper format, we'll say this was to record leasehold amortization. Okay, now we have another adjusting entry to make. We need to record the leasehold improvement amortization. So here we need to take amortization expense on the leasehold improvement. And we'll credit an account called Accumulated Amortization, Leasehold Improvements. I'll just call it Leasehold Improvement, keep it in the singular form. And we would say for this entry it would be to record Leasehold Improvements, or Leasehold Improvement Amortization. Alright, now to calculate the dollar amount, we need to take the cost of the leasehold improvements. Let me follow that same format. I'll put a left parentheses in, so we take the leasehold improvements, we have a 10-year life associated with this asset, and then multiply it by 1/2 a year to come up with how much we need to record in this period. Okay, so the debits equal the credits. We've taken care of the adjustment. Now let's take care of the last adjusting entry to record, which would involve recording the lease rental itself. So we have rent expense. We need to take that out of the prepaid rent account, and this one would be to record 1/2 year of lease rental, right? I'll use the same sort of format, left parenthesis, so you'll hear me call it left paren, of the rent expense. That's going to be equal to the 70,000, right? And we'll just multiply that times 6/12. So we really didn't need a parenthesis in the first term, but I'll leave it there just for consistency as to how I approach the other ones. And that takes care of part 1, dealing with the journal